Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tremendous Leadership. It is one of my favorite days. Days at Tremendous Leadership are my favorite days, but this is an extra favorite day because I have once again the tremendous Dr. Jim Petersen here with me for a new book launch. A lot of you may be looking at Jim and saying, boy, does he look familiar. That is because Jim, this is his third book that he has published with Tremendous Leadership. And I am so excited to let you hear what the book is about, hear from Jim what motivated him to write it because it's very different than his other books. And the title is The Sun Will Come Up Tomorrow. Jim, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Tracy. It's a pleasure to be here.
I love it. So, Jim, just briefly, for those that don't know, Jim and I have go back probably 8 years at least,
Yes.
working together in the American College. Jim's a Naval Academy grad, knew my husband, was a nuclear submariner. We're going to talk about that. And then went into First Command, retired, and now we get to teach leadership together. So,
Yeah.
Jim and I have a lot of different areas of our lives woven together. But when I read the manuscript for this, I told Jim this. I got to know you in a very different way. I mean, you were already pretty much top pecking order, El Jefe, as we used to say in the military. But I saw something in you, Jim, that just it spoke to my heart. So, you've been talking about leadership for many, many years, but this book really goes into what it means to live well. Can you tell us what brought you to this book and why you chose to publish it at this stage of your life?
Sure. The truth is that I thought about writing a book on happiness for a long time, but did not act until last year when a friend encouraged me to do so. I set the idea aside until a series of events happened this year that contributed to my happiness journey, and I knew it was time to write this book. The first five books dealt with leadership, character, decision making, style, and how people show up in the world. But this one is more personal. The Sun Will Come Up Tomorrow is not just a leadership book, it is a life book. It's about the way we chase success, milestones, titles, money, recognition, and achievement, and then sometimes realize too late that happiness was available along the way.
Mhm.
I had to see enough, experience enough, lose enough, and love enough to understand the message. Have been very fortunate in life, but I have also watched people miss the joy of their own journey. So, in some ways, this book took me 71 years to write.
Mhm.
I didn't wait 6 years to write this book. I waited a lifetime to understand it.
There's something you have to have walk the walk and have the seasoning, kind of the wise sage to reflect back on this. And it definitely echoes throughout it. So again, and you alluded to this in The Facts Don't Matter, your book, The Glass Half Full, Half Empty. And the
Mm-hmm.
title comes from something you said to someone who saw the glass as half empty. Tell us the little story of how that came up with the expression. You cover that in the
Sure.
book.
That phrase really came from trying to help someone see tomorrow differently. As Tracy said, people who naturally see the glass as half full have a different outlook on life than those who see the glass as half empty. I always have believed that uh, I am a half full kind of person. And I also believe that even when today is difficult, tomorrow still has possibilities. So I would say to this person as they complained about whatever, the sun will come up tomorrow. And that became our sort of way of communicating that I really didn't want to listen to the problems of today. It's not a way of ignoring problems.
Right,
It was a way of putting them in perspective. It
right.
meant this may be hard, but it's not the end of the story. There'll be another morning, another conversation, another chance, another opportunity to respond differently.
Hmm. And
So, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, well, and I think sometimes we think, well, it's this negative people and this constant grousing or venting, but she was concerned about things that whether we're positive people, Jim, but
Yeah.
she
Uh
was
huh.
worried about her husband's promotion and would they get the right schools, things that
Correct.
we And worry is the negative word. We can show concern and be diligent about it, but it was drifting from that because you want to be focused on this stuff.
That's
Otherwise, you're
ex-
not a responsible spouse or parent or planning your life. But it got to the worrying point. So I just want people to know this isn't about just if you're a happy by nature people like Jim and I, we have the extra
yeah.
vitamin E, vitamin enthusiasm. We were just, thank God, born with that coding.
Well, just as
Um,
you said, I realized that that phrase had become more than
yeah.
encouragement.
Yes.
It became a philosophy.
Yes.
You know, life can bring disappointment, loss, frustration, and uncertainty, but the sun coming up tomorrow reminds us that the great times are ahead and those negative feelings do not get to own the rest of our lives.
Right. Right. And I love it because you share in the book, and we're going to talk about some of these things that you've been through that are the hardest of the hard things. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people look at happy people and they're like, well, nothing bad ever happened to them. And it's like, okay, you talk about something called the happiness illusion, the idea that we keep placing happiness just past the next milestone. And, you spent decades coaching and observing people. And how many actually figured this out? I think about the one story you talk about where the guy finally got the lifelong promotion he wanted. And then
Yeah,
at 4 a.m. when he walked into that office, go
it
ahead, Jim.
wasn't what he wanted. You know, not enough people have actually figured it out.
Mm.
And I include myself in that at different points in my life. As you said, Tracy, high achievers are often very good at postponing happiness. They
Yes.
say, I'll be happy when I get promoted. I'll be happy when the business grows. I'll be happy when the kids are out of school. I'll be happy when I retire. I'll be happy when the next big thing happens. The problem is that the finish line keeps moving.
Yes.
As, as soon as they reach one goal, they create another one. That can be good from an achievement standpoint, but it can be dangerous from a life standpoint. And the people who figure it out tend to understand that happiness is not the reward at the end of the race.
Hmm.
It is something you learn to notice while you're still running.
Absolutely.
They still work hard, they still pursue excellence, but they do not mortgage their presence for a future that is never guaranteed.
Beautiful. I
So,
love it. And that's that present, that mindfulness that everybody's like, you have to be in this. And speaking of which, we always think about, well, money. If I just had all the money in the world, that would make me happy, right? Well, you have
yeah,
a story in this book, a personal story in this book, about a man who won $12 million, but then lost his wife and died at 46. This one really stopped me cold. How did that story find its way into the book?
you know, it's a true story. It's about my brother in law, and it found its way into the book because it makes the point better than any theory could.
Hmm.
Most people think, just as Tracy said, if I had enough money, I'd be happy. And money can solve some problems, so I don't want to pretend that it cannot, but it does not solve meaning. It does not solve
Mm.
relationships. It does not solve loneliness. It does not automatically give someone peace. And from the outside, people might have thought he had won life's lottery. $12 million sounds like the answer to every problem, but very quickly, life became heavier, not lighter for him. He lost his wife to cancer. He lost his direction. And then he lost his life far too early at the age of 46. So
Mm.
I included that story because it challenges the assumptions that happiness is something external circumstances can deliver by themselves. The real question is not, what would I do if I had more? The better question is, would I know what matters if I got everything I thought I wanted? So money can change our circumstances. It cannot by itself teach us how to live.
Mm. Another poignant story you had, and again, children, the greatest joy and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the most difficult heartache that a person can have. You share the story of your son and learning to ride the bicycle and what that whole thing went through and the underlying issue. Um, is it Greg, first of all? I know you had several kids.
No, it's Matt, my youngest son.
It's Matt, your youngest. Does Matt know he's in
Yeah,
the book?
He'll know it when he reads the book. I've not shared
We
it with
got put
him
in
yet.
books as kids, so
Yeah,
sorry if your
yeah,
parent is an author. I got
yeah,
the rear
yeah,
end rash written about me,
yeah,
so I think
exactly.
Matt can handle this.
Yeah,
Tell us about that story, because this again, like I said, all the stories were profound, but this one, Jim, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
yeah. It's brought some people to tears
Mhm.
actually, and emotion. Sometimes me when I tell it, but
Yeah.
that story is meaningful to me because it captures one of those moments that starts out ordinary and becomes unforgettable. As parents, we often remember things our children may not fully realize shaped us. The bicycle, the parking lot, the shift. Those details matter because they bring me right back to the emotion of that moment. When something involves your child, the world gets very small very quickly. All the things that seemed important 5 minutes earlier suddenly are not important at all. You are not thinking about your resume, your next meeting, your career, or your accomplishments. You're simply a parent. This is one of the themes of the book. Life keeps reminding us what matters. Sometimes it does that gently. Sometimes it does it in ways that get our full attention. And the one thing, the reason that I'm not going into the specifics, so I want people to read it and really get emotionally involved in it, as you will, I guarantee you, because parenthood has a way of reducing life to what really matters
Oh, yeah.
in about 3 seconds.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there's so many stories. I'm not giving them all away, but you have one about Louise, your
Right?
wife, about the
Yep.
Chiefs party on aboard the USS Indianapolis and what Louise did for those enlisted families. Just touch on that and how much of the book is about Louise.
Yeah, yeah. A lot more than she probably wants me to admit. Uh, Louise been central to so much of my life, and this book is no exception. That story aboard USS Indianapolis is important because it shows the kind of person she is. She saw people. She noticed families. She understood that leadership was not just what happened in the wardroom or in official settings. It was also what happened when people felt included, respected, and cared for. That event was not about rank. It was about human dignity. Louise understood instinctively that the families of enlisted sailors mattered and that they should feel part of the ship's community. So, yes, this book is about happiness, but happiness is rarely found in isolation. It is found in relationships, in service, in kindness, and in the people who help us become better than we would have been alone. Louise has done that for me. By the way, June 18th, 26 is our 50th wedding anniversary.
Nice. Congratulate. As Charles would say, that's the worst year, right? He said it every time.
Yeah,
And that's amazing. We just have
yeah,
dear friends that just celebrate their 50th, and it's hard to believe, but well done.
yeah,
Well done.
yeah. Thank
Um,
you.
speaking of which, another thing that we think as we're all getting older is loss of a spouse. I have several friends that have lost their spouses this year,
Mm-hmm.
and you think, well, I would lose everything. I would lose my happiness and everything if I lost my spouse. You have a story in that about a mother who made it into heaven just in time for St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah,
and her husband held on up until their 62nd anniversary. Just touch on that real briefly.
yeah. Well, that's a true story about my parents. One of those stories that remind you that love has its own calendar.
Mm.
What moved me about that story was not just the timing, although the timing is remarkable. It was the meaning. Here were two people whose lives were deeply connected, and even at the end, their story seemed to carry a kind of grace.
Oh.
Mom made it to heaven, as you said, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, which was her favorite day of the year. Not Christmas, not Easter, St. Patrick's Day, which mattered in our family story. And Dad held on until the day before their 62nd anniversary. Uh, you cannot hear that and not pause. Stories like that belong in a book about happiness because happiness is not only laughter and celebration. Sometimes happiness is gratitude. Sometimes it is memory. Sometimes it is the beauty of a life shared when even the ending is hard.
Mm. And it's also happiness for all eternity that knows no bounds.
Yes, it is.
The greatest happiness of
Correct.
all is yet to come. So you
Yes.
better get happy now, because if you can't be happy now, you're not going to be happy there. So Jim, as I said, you've written three books with us. I forgive you for that, only three, and not your other six. But we didn't know each other then. So this
Right.
is your sixth book, and it completes what you call the Peterson philosophy framework. So we're going to pivot from the personal to more the professional. For people who are just meeting you for the first time, walk us through the four dimensions. You have character, style, judgment, and now happiness, and why you saved happiness for last.
Okay, great. It developed over time, but it now feels very clear to me. In fact, it was not developed to come together. That's one of the amazing things. This was God's work
Mm.
to bring it all together for me, and I tell that as a separate presentation. Character is who you are. That is the foundation. It's your integrity, values, courage, humility, and willingness to do the right thing when it is not easy. Style is how you lead or how you live your life. That is where who let the dogs lead comes in. People lead differently. Some are analytical, some are empathetic, some are direct, some are creative, some are steady. The key is understanding your style, respecting the styles of others. And judgment is how you decide. That is the focus of the facts don't matter. In a world full of noise, misinformation, emotion, and competing narratives, leaders have to think clearly. They
Mhm.
have to slow down, test assumptions, and make better decisions. And now happiness is why it all matters. Because what is the point of character, style, and judgment if they do not help us build a life worth living? I save happiness for last because it is the most personal dimension. It is also the one many high achievers avoid the longest.
Mhm. And I love that each of your books, you guys, The Facts Don't Matter, Who Let the Dogs Lead, now the Sun Will Come Up Tomorrow, all hit on specific aspects of this, which is wonderful because it's like a leadership diagnostic to speak to the head, the heart, the spirit. All, and
Mm-hmm,
then you have a
mm-hmm.
Spirit to Soar. You have another book people can read about that too. When did you said it takes us the longest to get it. When did you get it wrong? Were you ever at a time not happy or ungrateful?
Oh yeah, for sure. More than once.
Hmm.
Like a lot of driven people, I have sometimes confused progress with presence. I was focused on the next assignment, the next promotion, the next opportunity, the next responsibility. As you know, Tracey, like you, I have a lot of energy and I find myself moving from one thing to another. That kind of drive can serve you well. And I'm grateful for the opportunities I had. But there were times when I probably moved too fast through moments.
Mhm.
I should have slowed down to appreciate what was going on. The Navy, business, teaching, coaching, all of those chapters gave me extraordinary experiences. But look back, the moments that matter most are often not the official achievements.
Right,
They are the family moments, the
right.
friendships, the quiet conversations, the time someone trusted me enough to let me help them. So when did I get it wrong? Whenever I thought the next milestone mattered more than the people standing next to me on the way there.
That's beautiful. And stories are what speak to us. And this is a book of all stories. And
Mm-hmm.
you write a book because it's a legacy piece. So what do you hope for your grandkids to remember for you as a result of this book?
Well, I hope they take it that life does not have to be perfect to be beautiful.
Ah,
I want my children and grandchildren to pursue their dreams as I have. I want them to work hard, use their gifts, make a difference, build lives they are proud of. I also want them to know that happiness is not something they should postpone until everything is finished.
hmm.
I hope they notice the small moments. I hope they value family. I hope they understand that disappointment is not the end of the story. I hope they remember that the sun really does come up tomorrow. And most of all, I hope they know how much they are loved. Books are public things, but dedications are personal. That dedication is my way of saying, you're the reason this message matters to me. So I hope they build great lives, but I also hope they are present enough to enjoy them.
I love it. And you close the book with the four words, be ready for it. Okay. So if somebody
Yeah.
closes the book on a Thursday night and wakes up Friday morning, what does this actually look like for them?
Well, it looks simple, but it's not always easy. It means when you wake up Friday morning, you do not immediately race past your own life. You notice the people in your house. You make the call you've been meaning to make. You say thank you. You forgive something small. You take the walk. You enjoy the coffee. You stop acting as if happiness is waiting 3 milestones from now.
Right.
Being there for it does not mean you quit striving. It means you stop disappearing from your own life while you strive. It means you understand that tomorrow's sun is not just a symbol of survival, it is an invitation. You get another day. The question is whether you're going to be present for it. So, being there for it means you stop treating your life like a waiting room for some better version of the future.
I love it, the waiting room. It's the old quote I used to hear, you can live life as if nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. And
Uh-huh.
that's what it's intentionality. And the
Yes.
same events can happen to the same person, but being focused about, but I'm going to see this and be ready for it. That beautiful expectation versus just sitting around and waiting and say, well, why is it happening to everybody else? It's happening to you, but you need to pay attention and recognize it and call it out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Jim, what's the best way people can find you, number one, work with you, and then I'll talk about how they can get the hands on the book.
Okay, great. The easiest place to find me is through my website, and it's jlpeterseninc.com. And let me spell it because people will spell my last name wrong and never find it. It's jlpeterseninc.com. Remember, there are no O's in the name Petersen since it is Danish. From there, people can learn more about my books, leadership programs, coaching work, and speaking, and that of my team, by the way,
Yes.
and my companies. Uh, and the book is now available online. You can share with them that. But I also work through my company's Diversified Professional Coaching and the Professional Business Coaches Alliance, where we help leaders, business owners, executives, and coaches grow in practical, meaningful ways through our certification courses. And then also, I have a new course for high school students based on the dog book, which will be testing at one of the private schools in Fort Worth here in the fall.
Excellent.
Um, but if someone remembers only one thing from this conversation, I hope it is this: do not wait too long to enjoy the life you're building. The sun will come up tomorrow. Be there for it.
I love it, Jim. And for our listeners out there, I will put all the links down there. Jim's in the Dallas area, so if you're in the Dallas area, you can feel free to connect with him as well. And the book is live. We'd love for you to get a copy. Leave Jim a review. We'll have his website on there. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Tremendous Leadership, and you can also get it on Jim's website as well. It's a powerful book, a beautiful read, and it will get you focused on what really matters, and that's
Mhm.
being in the present and that happiness is all around you if you just stop and pay attention to it. So, Jim, I'm ready for book number four whenever you are. I know, I'm sure you're probably already working on it, but I just can't thank you enough. It's just, I love the leadership stuff, but this was just, it was just so beautiful, and I got to know you in just a whole new way. So, thank you.
Well, thank you. And yes, there are pieces of the new book, but I've pushed them aside because I have that incredible energy. And once I start working on a project, I immerse myself in it. But there are pieces of a new book,
What
believe it or not.
Well, I'll tell you what, John Maxwell better look over his shoulder because Jim, you've released three with us in 6 months. So, I mean, I love it. And it's great. And again, at this stage of his life, for our listeners out there, these are the best years. The golden years are when
Yeah,
you are able to freely pour out with the stature and the posture. And people can say, I don't think so. Wrong, friend. I know so. It just gives you that authority and that grace and that empathy and that courage. And I'm so thankful that you are taking, a lot of these are personal stories and sharing them in a
yeah.
way that can really bless other people. Because you know what? In the big sea of humanity, we all go through the same stuff.
Hmm.
Don't ever think, oh, that's not me. It's all of us. Yeah.
Right, for sure.
All right, to our listeners out there and our readers, remember, as Charlie Tremendous Jones so fabulously said, you will be the same person 5 years from now that you are today, except for two things: the people you meet and the books you read. You just met or re-met the tremendous Dr. Jim Petersen, and you're about to get a copy of The Sun Will Come Up Tomorrow. Thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do it without you. Have a tremendous day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.